Okay, paper 1, multiple choice questions 21 to number 40. So, inhalation, breathing in, the external intercostal muscles must contract, so we can get rid of A and C. And the movement of the ribs is that they go up, so the answer must be D. Number 22. So you've got a section of an alveolus here. What are the functions of the following label structure? So type 1 pneumocyte, we know that the answer to that is gas exchange, so we can remove that. Type 2 pneumocyte, we know it's surfactant, so it's still A and C. Then the capillary transports carbon dioxide from the alveolus. No, but it is transports carbon dioxide to the alveolus, so that's C. Okay, question 23. What feature of arteries is most important in maintaining sufficiently high blood pressure? Well, that is going to be, for this one's, well, the only one which is true, actually, which is the elastic fibres in the walls, B. 24. So these atropine drops that can dilate the pupils. So they're binding to the acetylcholine receptors in the synapses. What's the effect of atropine binding in the synapses? So if you think about the synapse, it's got to be something to do with the postsynaptic membrane. So prevents the binding of acetylcholine at the postsynaptic membrane. That is C, which is correct. Okay, 25, our Rosalind Franklin image. So what previously unknown aspect of DNA was deduced from these images? Again, this is just factual recall. I'm afraid you can't work it out. It was that the DNA is definitely a double helix. They initially thought maybe it was a triple. Okay, 26. In transcription, which enzyme has a role similar to that to helicase? So helicase unwinds, unzips, doesn't it? And in transcription, you will, of course, remember that the only enzyme involved is RNA polymerase, which is C. 27. The diagram illustrates on the process involved in DNA replication. So what's shown in the diagram? I mean, loads is shown in the diagram, isn't it? So DNA polymerase bonding nucleotides in a 3' to 5' direction. No. Then single-stranded DNA binding proteins on the old strand. Yes. Here, you've got those. Okay. The gyrase isn't forming a double helix, it's stabilizing it. And the ligase isn't joining the Okazaki fragments on the leading strand, so it's B. Okay, so then 28, our dancing monkey. So what occurs first? The small ribosomal subunit binds to the mRNA. Bingo! There we go. So then antifreeze is a compound called ethylene glycol, metabolized in mammals. It's one of those things you can... anyway, shut up, Emily. So first step involves the enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. 2 inhibitors of this enzyme used in treating antifreeze poisoning are ethanol and a word I can't say. So we look at the 2 structures and the inhibitors. So studies have shown that the word I can't say may be preferable to ethanol as a treatment. What is the reason for this? Well, ethanol is a competitive inhibitor. If you look at the 2 structures here, you can see they are very similar. So they're going to be competitive inhibitors. And it therefore needs to be given in very high doses. So basically, if people drink antifreeze, then you can fix them by making them drink ethanol, in theory. Okay, so 30. Here we've got our mitochondria. So the small distance between the inner and outer membranes, what's the advantage of that? And so that is B, enables a high concentration of protons to build up very quickly. Okay, 31. What occurs in the light-independent reactions of photosynthesis? So that's the light-independent, so that's the Calvin cycle. And in here we've got A, which is glycerate 3-phosphate is reduced to triphosphate. So if you remember in the cycle, we have GP going down to TP, which then regenerates to RUBP, which then does that. So we have A. Okay, it's not B because we don't use NADP in that step, we only use ATP in that step. Okay, then 32, we have our potometer. So which variables must be controlled if transpiration rates are compared in different plant species? Well, definitely the total, whoopsie, ooh, fun. Definitely the total leaf surface area. The volume of water in the reservoir is completely irrelevant. The room temperature is important, so it's 1 and 3, which is C. Number 33, micropropagation is used to produce large numbers of plants in a short period of time. What is a feature of micropropagation? Again, I'm afraid this is factual recall, which is D. The process is sterile, and the resulting plants are disease-free. Here we have our friendly hummingbird. So what makes a mutualistic relationship? So the bird obtains nutrients and the plant is assisted. So mutualism is when both things are beneficial. And so B is mutualistic. Yay, we've got some genetics. So we've got our black short-haired guinea pigs, heterozygous for both characteristics, were crossed. They produced offspring with phenotype short blah 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 in 93:3:1. A different cross produced 1:1:1:1:1. So we know that 1:1:1:1 must be a heterozygous test cross, so the answer must be C. Alrighty tidy. So number 36. So we've got 2 kinds of wolf spider rubbing parts together to produce distinctive sounds. Females of both groups will only allow a male of the same kind to mate with them. So what can be hypothesized? We could assume that the groups are reproductively isolated. We could assume that they are the same species, and this is an example of behavioral isolation. So badingo, number D, or point D. Okay, 37. Here we have a bit of marram grass. So what suggests that it's a xerophyte? So we know that it's the rolled leaf, and it protects it from the winds, so that's C. Okay, question 38. What could be used as a technique measuring flow rates in the phloem? Well, we could use photometers don't, they measure water uptake. Aphid stylets do, radioactive carbon dioxide does, so it is D. Both of those 2 things. Okay, 39. I got this one wrong by not reading it properly, so hopefully you read it properly. So you've got the diagram shows the results of experiments into flowering species of plant. So you've got periods of dark, periods of light, and you can see what can be used to promote the off-season flowering in long day plants. Okay, so we're looking for this interruption here, and it's C. Okay, and then number 40, last but not least, which tissue is especially adapted to transport sucrose? And the answer to that is phloem, and only phloem, so it is D. Bada boom, bada bong.